Hi and welcome. Today we are going to look at simple interest, which is also one of the applications of percentages. And so you'll be asking, what is simple interest then, or what is interest? You see, the rent that you pay for the use of money, okay, maybe the money is not yours or something like that. The rent you pay for the use of that money which is not yours, are you getting it? Is interest. Are you with me? Now, when you save your money with a bank, is the money for the bank? No, it's not for the bank. It's yours, isn't it? So the bank pay you interest at the end of the particular period, isn't it? For you renting your money to them, that's why they give you that interest. Also, those banks also rent that money out to someone, to investors. Okay, so when they give out those money, those investors also pay certain interest on that money. So they're also paying for renting the money. Do you get it? Or let's say you give out your money to a friend, okay, to just your friend, okay, or not necessarily your friend, or maybe someone needs help that you should, or he wants to, like, he needs some money and stuff. You give out that money, you need to charge interest, because if you had not given out that money, you would have used that money for something else which might have earned you some profit. But you forgone that. It looks like opportunity cost. You forgo what you would have invested that money into for getting profit, and you give that money to that person. So you need to charge interest, because if you had not given out that money, you would have earned interest from you would have gotten profit with it by doing something profitable with it, isn't it? So we charge interest. So the amount charged for the use of money is called what? Interest. So when you give out your money to someone, the person wants to use it, you charge the person extra amount for using that money. So that's what we call interest. I hope you're following. So interest is usually calculated as a percentage of the principal. So this means interest is equal to what? Rate times principal. Please, I know right now you'll be thinking interest is equal to rate times principal times time over 100. No, we aren't there yet. You just take a look at something. Interest is equal to what? Originally, interest is equal to rate times principal. The rate of the interest times the principal. Principal stands for the amount you've given out. Okay, yeah. So let's take, for instance, if Ananse lent an amount of 1,000 Ghana cedis to Odudu, and the rate of interest is 12% for a year. Are you getting it? What would be his interest for that specific year, just that year, that 1 year? It should just be what? 12 over 100 times 1,000, and that gives you what? 120 Ghana cedis. Okay. Now, take note of something. When we bring times time, it means that maybe the time is more than the period. Okay, that's why we extend the formula to rate times principal times time. Are you following? Let's go to that. So let's look at the formula. Interest is equal to principal times rate times time. Okay, interest is equal to what? Principal times rate times time. In the previous one, if we had multiplied by time, the time is just 1 year, so it will still give us same answer. So originally, it's just rate times principal. But when the time is becoming more than, when the interest is per year, and the time is more than 1 year, that's when we start introducing those times time and stuff. Are you getting it? So that's what leads to the formula, principal times rate times time. Now, someone will be wondering that, but is principal times rate times time over 100? Why didn't I bring the over 100? Please, that's not anything. What we mean by rate is always in percentage. Okay, when we say rate is always in percentage. So even if you don't bring over 100, since you know rate is always over 100, that's not a big deal. So that's why I rewrite it further that, okay, then rate is R over 100 times P times T, and this is what end up giving us what? PRT over 100. That's R times P times T, and that gives us what? PRT over 100 divided by what? PRT divided by 100. Are you following? So we will be using this formula throughout. Okay. So we'll be using this. We'll be using this throughout this. Okay. But I can also write my formula like this. Interest is equal to P times R times T. I'll just make sure when I'm doing my substitution, if rate is 12%, I'll just say 12 over 100. It's still interpreting same thing. Okay. But let's use this. Okay. So, now, you know that from here, from this formula, we can make R the subject. Okay. If a question gives you principal, rate, and time, and ask you to find interest, you use this. But if a question gives you principal, time, and interest, and wants you to find the rate, then the formula for the rate is I over PT times 100. We just get this from making R the subject over here. When we make R the subject, we will get this. Okay, so you should know substitution and change of subject properly. And then, when we make T the subject, let's say we want to find T, it's I over PR times 100. And then, when you want to find principal is what? That's interest over RT times 100. So those are the formulas, the sub formulas that you should know. But there's no need memorizing this. If you know this, just substitute and group like terms. Okay, you just substitute and the one you want to find, you just find it straightforward. Okay, so that's what you do. But if you feel like memorizing all this, so that when you get it, you just put the formula and substitute. But without memorizing all these sub formulas, knowing this alone can do a lot. Okay, you just substitute what interest is there, what principal is, what rate is, then you have T, so unknown. So you just cross multiply, simplify further, or whatever. So let's take some examples and see how it goes. Now, before then, there's another formula. Amount, to know the total amount. Amount is equal to principal plus interest. Let's take, for instance, your friend is paying, let's say, 20 cedis on 200 cedis, 10%, okay? You gave out 200 cedis to your friend and he's paying 20% and 20 on it. The total amount will be the principal, which was 200, plus the interest, which is 20. Do you get it? So that gives you 220. So that's what we mean by amount. Let's take some example. Example 1. A woman deposited 460 Ghana cedis at a bank at a rate of 12% per annum for 4 years. Find a simple interest. That is question 1. And second question says, what is the amount at the end of the 4th year? So let's look at how to solve this. Solution. To solve this, just bring the formula. Interest is equal to what? PRT over 100. If I were you, I wouldn't have even written this R as capital R. I will write it small r. I have my reasons to that. But let's just use it as most textbooks also presented it. Okay, PRT over 100. So if that is the case, then look at, they say a woman deposited 460. Okay, so this 460 is the principal. Are you with me? The amount you deposit or the amount you give to someone is the principal. Now the rate is usually in what? In percentage, or it can be in decimal as well. So this is the rate. Okay, so this question has given you principal, it has given you the rate, and it said per annum for 4 years, 4 good years, meaning that the time is 4 years. The 12% is per annum. Check it out. Check it well. The 12% is per annum, per year. Okay, per year. So if it is 4 years, you should know what we're going to do. So this gives us, what's the principal? 460, isn't it? Times rate, which is 12. Okay, times time, which is what? 4, all over 100. We are dividing all by 100 because rate means 12 over 100 individual on its own. So what we are doing is 460 times rate is 12%, and 12% means 12 over 100. So if I were you, I would have written mine like this. I wouldn't have done it, so I would have written it like this. Times 4 time. Do you get it? This is how I would have done mine. But just to compress it or to make it simple, look simple, that's why we've been writing it like this. Because the R alone stands for what? 12 over 100. If If that's not the case, somebody would have substituted 12 over 100 just here before he divides all by 100. Do you get it? But that's, so just take this simplified form then. Let's go. So we have what? 460 times 12 times 4 all divided by 100 gives you 220.80 Ghana cedis. What this means is 220 cedis, 80 pesos. Okay, that's the meaning. So let's look at the next question. The next question says we should find the amount. So it's important to know that amount is equal to principal plus interest, isn't it? So if amount is equal to principal times interest, then what's our principal? Our principal is 460, isn't it? And what's the interest? The interest is 220.80. Do you get it? So this gives us what? 680.80 Ghana cedis. So this is just simple interest. We have another topic called compound interest and others. We are not there. We are just looking at simple interest and its amount. Okay. So let's look at example 2. Example 2 says, find a simple interest on 723 Ghana cedis for 4 months at 11% per annum. Please always read the question carefully before you answer. Okay. This question was like 4 years. And the interest is 12% per annum. But when you look at this new question says 4 months, not year. But the interest is also per annum for a year. This interest is for a year. Are you following? This 11% is for a year. But the question wants us to find 4 months only. So to solve this, what's the principal? The principal is 723, isn't it? Times the rate is 11% for a year, so 11 over 100 times. Now we are not finding 1 year. The time is 4 months. Do you get it? So to convert 4 months to a year, it is the 4 months divided by the number of months in a year. So there are 12 months in a year, isn't it? So we have 4 over 12. So 4 months is the same as what? 0.4 divided by 12 gives you something. Just check it out. That's 1 over 3. Okay, that's 0.33, isn't it? You can check. You can use your calculator. So that's 0.33. So it means that 4 months when you convert 4 months to a year, it means that 0.33 years, something like that. So what matters is you should check the question carefully before you answer. If the question had said 6 months, you would have done 6 over 12 as your time. Okay, the interest is per annum, per year. Do you get it? So you have to be very careful about that. So this gives you what? 26 cedis, 51 pesos. That's 26.51 Ghana cedis. If the answer is more than 2 decimal places, you just convert it to what? 2 decimal places. Money is usually, like mostly in two decimal places. Okay, if the answer was, let's say, 26.5072, since the next number after the second number, which is 0, is more than 4, you convert it to 1 and add it to 0 to give you 51. Okay, so 26.51 Ghana cedis. I hope that's clear. So let's look at example 3. Example 3 says the simple interest on 450 Ghana cedis for 4 years is 45 Ghana cedis. What is the rate of interest? Take a look at this question properly. This question wants us to find a rate of what? Interest. Meaning it has given us the principal on, okay, it has given us the time to be 4 years, and they said the simple interest on this principal for 4 years is, meaning simple interest is, this is English, okay, the simple interest on 4 years is, meaning this is referring to the subject, simple interest. So this 45 stands for the simple interest. You have to be very careful about that. Okay, so this gives us what? What's the formula for rate? Rate is equal to interest times 100 all over principal times time. Is that the formula I gave you for that? Yeah. So we just substitute. So what is the interest? The interest is 45 times 100 all divided by principal times time. So which is 450 times 4, isn't it? So this gives you 2.5%. Someone would have done it like this by bringing the original formula P times R times T over 100 and just do substitution. So what is your interest? your interest was 45, so you substitute 45 in place of I equals, what is the principal? The principal is what? 450. And what is the rate? The rate is unknown, so we leave the rate as R, okay, times, what's the time? The time is 4, isn't it? Divided by what? 100. Someone would have done it like this. So then, you know, when you have a whole number is divided by 1, so you cross multiply. When you cross multiply, 45 times 100 gives you what? 4,500. I hope you are following. Equals 1 times the whole of this. The whole of this also remains the same. So 450 times 4 gives you what? So just check that out. Kindly do that for me. 450 times 4 should give you, I think, 1,800, right? Yeah, because 45 times 2 is 90, and 90 times, yeah, so 45 times 4 will be 180. So that will be 1,800. Okay, so you have 1,800 R. 1,800 R. Okay, so 1,800. So you want to make R the subject. So what do? We divide both sides by the coefficient of what? Of R, which is 1,800. 1,800. Okay, 1,800. So this 1,800 goes here 1 and goes here 1. So we have R to be equal to, these 2 zeros take away these 2 zeros, isn't it? You can use your calculator. 45 divided by 18 gives you what? 2.5. Okay, percent, because rate is always in percentage, so you add percentage symbol to it. Okay, you know, 45 over 18. Do you get it? Yeah. When you do 45 over 18, I think you get 2.5. Yes, check it out. It gives you 5 over 2, which is 2.5. Okay, so you have to add the percentage, because rate is always in percentage, so you have to add the percentage symbol. I hope that's clear. So that is the answer to this. Okay, so take this assignment, make sure you solve it properly, and comment in the comment box, okay, with your answer. Or if you're on in my WhatsApp group, you can send the answer to me in my DM. Let me verify. Okay, let me check if you've done it well. And take note, when you are given a mixed fraction, you can convert it to what? To improper fractions. Okay, let's say you have two whole number 1 over 4. To convert two whole number 1 over 4 to improper fraction, okay, to convert it to fraction, you multiply this 4 times 2 plus 1. You use the denominator to multiply this. Okay, this is called the divisor. Okay, this is called the remainder, and this is called the quotient. So you use the divisor to multiply the quotient and add the remainder to it. So 4 times 2 is what? 8 plus 1, that's 9, over the divisor, which is 4. That's how you convert something to fraction. Okay, from mixed fraction to improper fraction. So make sure you do the assignment, then you submit it to me, or you comment in the comment box, okay, with your answers. Okay, so thank you for watching.